Hello ladies, it's Menopause Taylor, and today I'm bringing you a video unlike any other I've ever given for you. This video is a Q&A on questions about me. And I know that's really different in the YouTube world because I know most people in the YouTube world give you a lot of information on themselves, but I don't. My YouTube channel is about educating you about menopause. So it's about you, not me. But what's happened is I get some questions over and over and over again about me. And so the YouTube staff that I work with is a bunch of young women in their 20s and 30s, and they're like, Barbie, you need to do a Q&A video. I said, a Q&A video? Why would I do a Q&A video? They said, yeah, questions about yourself, you know, like what people want to know about you as a person. I said, real? Why would I do that? Well, they don't want to know about me. And they said, oh, yes, they do. Look at all these questions you keep getting. So here I am giving you a Q&A video on me and answering all the most frequently asked questions about me personally. The most common question I get has to do with how I came to do this whole YouTube video channel on menopause. And that is kind of a story. I am a retired gynecologist. I love taking care of women. And in 2001, I was diagnosed with a severe form of arthritis that made it such that I had to retire. And I still had this huge passion for taking care of women, but my body physically couldn't handle the lifestyle of a busy gynecologist taking care of women and working 120-hour work weeks and being in the operating room, etc., etc. So after I retired, I wrote a book on menopause, and then I developed a great big seminar on menopause. And I realized I couldn't really give the seminar that much because it's a big undertaking for my body too, 2 full days. And so I kind of was always looking for a platform, some way to help women and give them this education without having to do it live and physically hurt myself doing it. And then when I was living in Cape Town, South Africa, I was having a conversation with Dominique Saxa on the phone. We were just catching up, we're girlfriends. And she had the idea that I should do this menopause education on YouTube. Now, at the time, I had never been to YouTube. So I ended up kind of starting my YouTube channel before I was ever on YouTube, looking at YouTube. And so I basically just converted the education into a format that worked for the video setting. And I love it, love it, love it. It's the most wonderful thing. I can reach even more women than I can with a live seminar or than I could ever do in even a practice setting. And it just kind of took off, and I realized what a difference it's making for women, and I absolutely love it. So that's how I came to have this particular product, and it's grown into everything else, because now, in addition to the YouTube video channel, I have a radio show, and I still have the book, and I still do the seminar once in a while, and I do one-on-one consultations, and it's just blossomed into all these products. And now I try to provide every service for every woman, regardless of her timeline for menopause, regardless of her budget, and regardless of her learning style. So my goal is to just make your life better and to give you all the options and no biases and just give you facts and then teach you how to tailor all the facts to yourself and then do whatever you want. So that's what this is all about, and that's how it came about. Okay, question number 2 I get a lot is, how old are you? I'm 59. I was born in April 1959. That means I'm old. Another question I get is, at what age did I go through menopause? I went through menopause at age 34 as a result of surgery for endometriosis, and I had my uterus and fallopian tubes and ovaries and cervix removed, and so menopause was premature, meaning before the age of 45, and it was sudden. And so that is how I became menopausal. So that means I have been menopausal for about 25 years. Oh well. So I know a lot about it personally in addition to what I know from a professional standpoint. The next question is, do I use HRT? The answer is yes, I do use HRT. And as I've taught you, if you go through premature menopause or if you go through sudden menopause, using HRT is much more important because it's a big physical risk to your body, and all those diseases that are associated with menopause skyrocket in terms of your risk. So yes, I use estrogen, and I have since the day I became menopausal, and that's my story. The fifth question is, how do I manage my arthritis? Well, I do everything for my arthritis. My whole life is kind of governed with my arthritis. And you know, I use diet, lifestyle, vitamins, minerals. I use an anti-inflammatory medication. I've had surgeries. Everything I do, a lot of my life centers around my arthritis. I know what I'm doing. I've studied it greatly. And you know, in so many ways, what I'm trying to teach you how to do to manage your menopause is to turn your negatives into positives and to do with your menopause exactly what I have done with my arthritis. I have turned my arthritis into something that really, in a way, is a beneficial thing in my life. I mean, it makes me have this great lifestyle. I have adopted all kinds of exercise and all kinds of habits that are wonderful for my health in general, all because I got arthritis. And that's what you have to do for your menopause. I mean, you have to take what you have, take your situation, and turn it into something wonderful. And that requires knowledge. And you have to know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to have a mess of a result, and I don't want that to happen to you. So I am giving you all the principles and teaching you all the details about everything available to you for menopause so that you can turn all your menopausal stuff into something wonderful. It's exactly what I've done with my arthritis. Okay, so question 6. What kind of exercise do I do? Well, as a person with arthritis, I cannot do the kind of exercise that everybody else does. I don't do any impact. I don't do anything rapidly, no speed, and I don't use any heavy weights. I never struggle. I hardly ever sweat. So what I've done with my exercise is found a way to do exercises in a very slow motion way, but I add the components of balance and flexibility to everything I do. I take your same basic exercises and I'll stand on one foot on something like that Bosu, the half mall, and I'll do my bicep curls ever so slowly with a very light weight, or even with an exercise elastic band. So my way of exercising is probably completely different than anything you've ever seen before. All the trainers in the gym always look at me and just think, wow, she's doing something totally different. I will show you exercise videos throughout the series. They'll be here and there, and I will intersperse them with all the other video tutorials and try to attach some of the exercise principles to the topic that we're addressing at the time. So I will show you a lot of what I've done. I did one video for you that was yoga. It aired on October 31st, 2017, and all I did was yoga. I went into my backyard area for the building I live in, and I did a yoga routine for you. And so I do a lot of yoga, I do some Pilates, and I kind of create my own exercises. I've kind of made up everything I do, and it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like when you're 5 years old and you were creative with your exercise and you did things for fun. I do that. But I also make sure I never, ever hurt myself. It's all about alignment and focus. So that's how I exercise. Question 7, how do you maintain your weight? Well, I believe in good principles of life. So I get up every morning, I go straight to the gym. Every single day I go straight to the gym. I start every day that way. I just told you that I do a workout. It's a slow, easy workout. I am not thinking about my weight. I'm thinking about my joints and my health. I am vegan. I've been vegan for 40 3 years, since I was 16 years old. And I eat very frequently, about every hour and a half to 2 hours. And I don't do any dieting because I just think that diets don't work. I mean, anything with a beginning and an end doesn't work. So I don't diet in any way. I just eat all things from plants only, and I pretty much eat all the time. I eat a lot. Okay, this question I get all the time. People ask me, how do you get your arms so toned? Well, first of all, I have the longest arms in the history of man. My arms are way longer than they're supposed to be. My arms are the longest arms you'll ever see. They are so long that they don't even fit on the screen. But your wingspan is supposed to be the same length as your height. My wingspan is about 6 inches longer than my height. So I'm anatomically incorrect. The longer your arms, the better shaped they're probably going to be, just because there's more length there. But I don't do anything special for my arms. Most of my exercise is very light weights, a lot of yoga, a lot of, managing my own body weight on my arms. But I don't have a special tip for you or a magic trick about arms. I would just say that I think light weights and higher repetitions are better than heavy weights. But that's just my opinion, and I think there's many ways to get great arms. And when I see women with short, really muscular arms, I just think they're so gorgeous because they're fascinating, they're so strong, and my arms have little tiny long muscles. So that's why I have arms like this. They're too long. They come almost to my knees. My fingertips come almost down to my knees. Okay. Oh, this is the question I get probably most of all. The question is, what do you do for your skincare regimen? Now, this one is a very disappointing one because I don't have anything magic. In fact, when I did a video with Dominique Saxa and she did my makeup and stuff, she started the whole video out with asking me about my skincare regimen. And I said, oh, that's really easy. I use Cetaphil lotion and Vaseline. Gobs and gobs of Vaseline. And she said, where do you put that stuff? I said, on my face. And that's all I do. I don't have any special treatment or expensive cream or anything. I don't wear makeup, and I just use my lotion and my Vaseline, and I love the way Vaseline feels on my face because it makes it nice and dewy, and I can't stand my face to feel dry. So, Cetaphil and Vaseline. That's it. I wear hats, so I avoid the sun. That's my skincare regimen. Now, my vegan diet probably has a lot to do with it. Once I was going to the operating room lounge, and one of my best friends, who's a plastic surgeon who had an operating room next to me, was in the lounge, and I walked into the doctor's lounge, and I was wearing my surgeon's cap. And I sat down, and I pulled off my cap, and he looked at me. He was meeting me for the first time, seeing me for the first time, apparently. And he looked at me, and he said, that's your hair, isn't it? I said, yes, that's my hair. And he said, you're vegan, aren't you? And I looked at him and said, how in the world did you know that? And he said, your skin. So apparently a vegan diet has a lot to do with your skin. But my skincare regimen is just the Cetaphil lotion and Vaseline. There you have it. Okay, another question I get is, where do I get my props? I make my props. I love making props. I love making anatomical representations out of vegetables and fruit. See, this is a representation of your vagina, your cervix, your uterus, ovaries, and fallopian tubes. I use it to demonstrate endometriosis. Here's something that I made out of Play-Doh, and it's a uterus with fibroids in it. I use it to demonstrate fibroids. I make a lot of these graphs and charts that show just what you need to see for whichever lesson I'm trying to impart to you. And the beauty of making my own props is that I only include what you need to see. I use a lot of fun things like toys, I use a lot of games, I use all kinds of things that make it fun for you, get the point across, and don't confuse you with a bunch of other anatomical things that make it so that you have to kind of figure out what's what. I want to avoid that. A lot of the medical models that are available try to include everything. And for instance, if I'm trying to teach you about endometriosis, I don't want anything else in the model. I only want endometriosis. And it's hard to find things like that. So I make my own, and I use all kinds of things like Play-Doh and silly putty and just goofy things that make it fun for you and actually fun for me when I'm making them. Okay, the next question is, what are my hobbies? Oh my gosh, I love so many things. I love to read. I should say I love to research. I mean, I'm a nerd. I like my brain has to be busy. So I love to read and research. And when I research anything, I read 7 books and I color code with all these highlighters, and then I tab, and then I cross-correlate and cross-analyze, and then I have to make charts. Yeah, I love that. I love music. I sing classical music, Italian arias and stuff, mostly in Latin and Italian. I play the piano. This is my piano right here. And I love games like Scrabble. But I want the real thing, the real game, not on a phone or as a video game and not remotely. I want the real thing, the real game. Any intellectual game I love. I love things like jigsaw puzzles. I love travel, but I don't really love travel. I love living in other countries. I've lived on every continent except Antarctica. And I love to move to a different country where I know nobody. And in many instances, I didn't know the language at all, and I go to language school and learn the language. I did that in France. I did that in Barcelona. I did that in Malaysia. I studied Mandarin. And I think learning languages teaches you a lot about the culture. And I love to immerse into other cultures and become a part of the day-to-day life. I don't want the touristy trip where you're in a hotel with English-speaking people and you're on a tour with an English-speaking guide and it's all the superficial sights. That's not what I do. I like to move and stay at least a year in a new country and just live. And if I don't move from country to country, which I did for about 13 years, I like to just live in another country and just stay there for a few years. What else do I like? I love being with friends. However, I'm an introvert, and I love having really deep, profound conversations with just one other person. I'm not a party person. I'm not a person who likes to go to bars. I've never been to a bar. I like very deep, quality, meaningful relationships with people. I am not a social media person who has superficial relationships, and I don't like chit chat. I like engaging on a very deep level with people. So those are the things that I love to sew. I started making all my clothes when I was 11. I love to sew. It's the only domestic thing I do. I am a failure in every other aspect of domesticity. And so I would say those are my hobbies. Yoga, of course, and exercise, but those are also essential things for me. Okay, next question. I could go on and on with hobbies because I love so many things. I love a lot of stuff. The next question is, what do I eat in a day? I get this question constantly, and I always think, why does someone want to know what I eat in a day? I'm going to show you what I eat in a day. You got to come with me. We're going to go to the kitchen. Okay, so this is what I eat in a day. And you know, I gathered everything that I eat in a day, and I put it all here together. And I have to tell you, My mother has always told me I'm the biggest pig she's ever known. She says, Barbie, you're the biggest pig I've ever seen in my life. When you were born, I wanted to breastfeed you, but you were such a pig that I had to breastfeed you and bottle feed you, and you're still a pig today. Well, I've never really thought of myself as a pig, but as I gather all the food that I eat in a day and put it all in one place, I kind of realize what you're saying. So what I've done is kind of taken everything I eat, and I will show all the things to you one by one and tell you what they are, and you can see what I eat in an average day. So the first thing I do is I get up in the morning at 4 o'clock, and I have a soy protein shake, and it consists of soy milk and soy protein powder. And what I do is I blend it in a big old cup like this, and I make it nice and thick, and that's what I have first thing in the morning when I first get up, before I go to the gym. Then I go off to the gym, and while I'm at the gym, I have a snack of some sort, usually something like a protein bar. This is a vegan protein bar, something that I can eat easily and I keep in my locker, and I have that kind of, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours into my time at the gym, because I work out there and I get cleaned up there and sit in the hot tub and stuff. Then, after I'm finished cleaning up at the gym and I get my clothes on, I have something like a bowl of oatmeal. This is just oats, and I just do oats, and usually with soy milk if I'm in the mood to cook it, or hot water if I'm not. Sometimes I'm lazy and I just pour hot water on my oats and do it that way. And then I have my biggest meal of the day at about 11 or 12 o'clock, and that consists of a plate full of greens. This is kale and spinach, and I'll use a plate full of these greens. And on the greens, I will put a mixture of some protein products, like some tofu, some tempeh, or some seitan or wheat gluten, all of which are very high protein plant products. And what I'll do with these is I'll cut them up and usually have a mixture of them, and I'll make a mixture kind of like this, and I'll dump all of this on top of my greens. And then on top of that, I'll put a little bit of seeds. This is a combination of some flax seeds, some hemp seeds, and some black chia seeds. So I'll put that on, and then I'll put just some dried or some sour cherries or some dried cranberries, something like that. Just kind of sprinkle that on. And then I dress it with way too much olive oil. Olive oil, I love it. I could mainline olive oil and I'd be in heaven. I use this stuff like crazy, so I'll dump a bunch of this on there. And then I'll drizzle some balsamic glaze on it. This one is Nona Pia's, and a girlfriend of mine in Whistler makes it, and I'll just drizzle that all over. And voila, this is my big meal. Now I vary it. Sometimes I do a stir fry. Sometimes I will just do a bunch of sauteed vegetables and these protein products. It varies a little bit, but mostly I'll have a great big salad, and anything goes on a salad. There are no rules, no limitations to what you can put on a salad. Okay, and then for the rest of the day, I eat about every hour and a half. Every 2 hours max. One of the things I have starting mid-morning is green tea. My favorite green tea is matcha, and I'll have a great big tumbler like this, and I will nurse this thing most of the day or afternoon. About an hour and a half after my lunch, I will get hungry, and I will have something like a bunch of nuts, trail mix kind of thing. This is just all kinds of nuts and a few dried cranberries and raisins all mixed together. About an hour and a half later, I'll have, a piece of fruit, apple or an orange. About an hour and a half later, I'll have a little bit of yogurt. This says it's 3 servings, I have about a third of this, and it's just plain soy yogurt. I may put a little something in it like some granola or some nuts. And then a little later, I might have some plain popcorn with, say, cinnamon sprinkled on it. And sometimes I have these, which are veggie chips, just kind of like potato chips, but made out of vegetables. And there's all these different kinds. There's carrots and pumpkin and green beans and mushrooms, and I'll have something like that. Sometimes I mix them all up. And the truth is, I eat all day long until I go to bed. That's why everyone calls me a pig. So there you have it, what I eat in a day. So now we have the next question, which is, where do you get your clothing and jewelry? So now I'll take you to my closet and I'll show you some of my clothing and jewelry and tell you about where I get it. Come with me. Welcome to my closet. So, where do I get my clothes? Well, I told you a little earlier that I have the longest arms in the history of man, and I have the longest legs in the history of man too. So buying clothes has always been a problem. And so I started making clothes when I was 11 and made all my clothes. And now, instead of making everything from scratch, I do a lot of finding clothing items that have something that I like, but they aren't quite what they need to be for me. And so I add a lot to my clothing. So I do a lot of adding arm length in the way of ruffles, so I added those on. And then I'll make dresses out of things because I don't like anything that's a shirt and I don't wear pants, so I will add lace. So I do a lot of sewing, but more of a modifying things. I'll take things apart and put things together that I like. But the majority of my clothing, my favorite stuff, is by a company called Michal Negrin, Negrin, and it's out of Tel Aviv, Israel. And this is my favorite stuff of all time. It is so feminine, so pretty. They make the most unique clothing, and I have tons of their stuff. They make tons of jewelry. All of my jewelry is Michal Negrin. And what I love about Michal Negrin jewelry is it's very dainty and feminine. My ring, my earrings. And I mean, some of this stuff is so interchangeable. I mean, I can, if I want a very tiny necklace, I can wear that with these earrings and this ring. Alternatively, I can wear this larger necklace. It all seems to kind of go together. They have beautifully done pieces that are just, I find them just dainty and magical. And in addition to jewelry, they make hair barrettes. They make headbands. Look how pretty that is. I mean, just look at that. And headbands like this and like this. And they make some accessories like purses. And they make some clothing. And so I have a few Michal Negrin dresses. I'll just show you a couple of them. Very pretty. It's just a look that is different than any look I have ever seen before, and I am completely addicted to this company, and I wear as much of their stuff as I can. They even make coats. I have this beautiful red velvet coat that I just love, and every time I wear it, it's full length. It goes down to the ground. Every time I wear it, people stop me and ask me where I got all of these things, and it's just a look that I just can't get enough of. And so this is where I get the majority of my clothes, Michal Negrin. And this little dress that I'm wearing now is also Michal Negrin. So those are all the questions about me. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you realize that my big focus is you. And the big overriding message of my YouTube channel is that it's all about you. I don't think any two women are alike, and I think we all should be as individual and authentic as we can. And so one of the reasons I don't normally tell you all about me and tell you what I'm doing is because I think the only opinion that matters is yours. I think you should be doing what's right for you. And whether we're talking about whether I take HRT or whether I do this kind of exercise or whether I have this kind of diet, my goal is for you to know facts about everything that can contribute to a better menopause and a better future for you, and to tailor them to yourself and then do what's right for you. So I'm very careful about not telling you what I do, because I don't want you to do what I do just because you saw me on a YouTube video. I don't want you to substitute my choices for myself for yours. I want you to make your own choices, and I want you to know what you're doing, and I want you to have confidence in what you're doing, and I want you to feel like you know that you're doing what's right for you. So I'm happy to tell you all this stuff about me, but I'm not trying to push anything on anybody with what I showed you today or with anything that I teach you. I'm just trying to teach you facts, and I want you to do whatever's right for you, and I'll help you no matter how you choose to manage your menopause, no matter what you want to do or no matter what you don't want to do. I am here to help you. That is why I make sure I cover all the bases, and I try to present everything with great enthusiasm. Okay, I love doing these videos for you, and I will see you in a week, at which time I will do a video on menopause and continue teaching how to make your menopause your way. So follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll see you in a week. Bye.